Okay, ladies and gentlemen, guests, dear guests, and also online participants. Now we are starting the very final session with the presentations. You will be able to listen to two presentations, one about novel technology dedicated to micro and nanoscale distribution and storage, and also any kind of application on the micro and nanoscale. And the second one will be a presentation of our guests. This will be online presentation from US, Arturo Cruz, from United States, from Crowley, LNG. So I would like to present some key thoughts and also some key information about technical solutions that are dedicated to the micro and nanoscale LNG and bio-LNG market. So, first of all, I would like to ask you to maybe close your eyes and imagine. Imagine a situation. Imagine a position of millions of people living in the remote areas, like in Africa, Asia, that do not have access to energy grids. And all of them face a significant challenge to get energy, to be able to live, to work, to have electricity, to have light, to be able to cook, prepare food. And we are talking about millions of them. Only in, for instance, Nigeria or Tanzania, we are talking about millions of families. And this was more or less a starting point for our, let's say, for inventing a solution that could unlock an LNG and bio-LNG market on the nano and micro scale to be able to, inter alia, deliver LNG to such people. And based on this, we have defined, or let's say, created a vision to unlock a new market that doesn't exist so far. But to be able to do this, a change of paradigm is necessary, and this can be unlocked only by technical solutions. A second point, decentralized solution for end users should be seen as a complementary possibility as a contribution to the energy transformation and to change the real life, the reality. Last but not least, circular economy plays more and more important role. And we believe that using the wider use of bio-LNG and LNG could also, and in this case bio-LNG, can lead to or can contribute to the transformation of energy market, energy mix, and support also implementation of circular economy. To be able to do this, the dedicated logistics system with new tools is needed. And to be able to do this, a new innovative cryogenic bulk was developed we call it second generation cryogenic bulk, that allows, or let's say, makes it able to establish this kind of the system, logistic systems, where in the center there's LNG production facility or LNG station is used as a central point, and with micro nanoscale vehicle and bulks can be distributed to the end users. Yesterday, we saw a official premiere of our micro mobile LNG refueling station, and this is some kind of core element that can deal or can serve as a logistics transport system for this idea. Solutions on the micro and nano scale are required, which means that so far the companies focus on the great projects, big scale projects, but if we would like to unlock this micro and nano scale market, then specific products and technologies are necessary. While developing the cryogenic bulk of the second generation, we have started with the idea, with some kind of imagination, who is the person that will deal with this. We call this person Mr. Smith. So for instance, this could be an employee of a restaurant or hotel, and this person not necessarily has an idea about LNG, about handling, and that's why we defined some corner points of the characteristics of the bulk, cryogenic bulk, that should be ensured to make it more or less happen, to let this kind of person, Mr. Smith, to work with. What are the consequences? We found out that this cryogenic microbulk should have specific characteristics. This must be safe. This must be light and very mobile and easy to use. And talking about safety, we said that this should be vacuumless, that if any minor damage happens, and this can happen, there is still time to react and there is no danger for environment and people that are in the place of this minor damage of the bulk. Then we said that this must be very easy to handle, and so which means mobile and light, and that's why we have decided that this must be a steelless bulk, which should be much lighter, and also as a consequence of these, let's say, parameters, the bulk made of different composites and nano materials, and working with a working pressure of up to 4 bars was constructed. So this is what we call second generation cryobulk, and this is what the worldwide first solution that was developed here in Germany. This is the form, this is the technical picture, the form of the bulk. As you see, it looks completely different comparing to the traditional steel and vacuum-based bulks. And what is even more important, it's not only light, but it's also flexible if you are talking about size and forms. Why? Because there is no vacuum and there is no steel, which means the materials allow us to create different forms and different sizes. As you see, this is the testing phase, and we have tested this bulk with the liquid nitrogen. So, and we are sure that it works up to the temperature of minus 200 centigrade. And this allows us to, let's say, reduce the burdens and reduce the costs also of, let's say, transporting and storing LNG, because we see the potential to optimizing the size dedicated to the specific customer needs. And this allows us to think about a range of different products from the same series. At the moment, two sizes are foreseen for the future production. The small one with the 200 liters and about 100 kilograms volume, and the second one 450 liters and 220 kilograms. We were talking to potential users, and they said so far that this size, especially 450 liters, 220 kg, is the size that we can, at the same time, let's say, load and unload on the 3.5 mobile refilling station. And at the same time, this is the size big enough to, let's say, serve or let's say supply the amount of LNG, for instance. If truck trailer is out of the fuel LNG, and with one bulk, this truck can simply continue the journey with almost full tank. But we were thinking in the project also about end size, and we said that decentralized supply systems, so the end user has to be more or less taken into consideration while doing our work. And of course, the customer, the end user, doesn't need bulk, doesn't need LNG. The customer, end user, wants to have energy. And this is something that is a crucial point in the way of thinking. So not only transporting, but also how to use it, how to apply this technology in the real life. And within the liquid energy project, we will test two different kinds of decentralized energy supply systems. One based on the older technology energy generator, where as an input there is a methane, and methane will be used directly for production of energy. But also the second pilot investment within the project is focused on the same system where, as you see, the empty bulk will be exchanged towards full bulk, and with a plug-in system plugged to the fuel cell, which is a quite innovative approach, technological approach, because, and these are different producers that we can test, where as an input to the fuel cell there is a methane, and The fuel cell, as such, divides methane, CH4, into hydrogen and CO2, collecting CO2 and using hydrogen for producing energy. Yesterday we saw a premiere of this of the mobile refueling station, and this vehicle we see as an important or one of the key elements in the system to transport LNG from the central point to the end users. And our ambition in the project was to size it down to the car of 3.5 tons of the total permissible total weight, that everybody with the license B can drive this vehicle. Here you can see some pictures of the car. Later on, you will be able to see documents, video documents from our premiere yesterday. This part of the conference was not streamed, but this will appear only as a material later on. So again, if we are talking about this kind of distribution, we can say that there is one example that we saw in Milan, or we met the company, the representatives of the company. This is the company from West Java, from Indonesia, where this island is cut off from the grid, and there is no other option than delivering LNG, or let's say gas, in the as an LNG form, which means much more energy, delivering with the small bulks from the central point to the end customers, to hotels, to restaurants. And as you see, these are pictures of the real case. So this means that this kind of business model can work, of course, under specific circumstances, as we discussed before. And in this case, these entrepreneurs, these let's say restaurants, hotels, have no other option. So I spoke to the company 2 weeks ago again, and they explained that they even, because they are using traditional bulks, steel and vacuum-based bulks, which are much, much heavier and much more difficult in handling. And that's why, for instance, they had to build, they're struggling with loading and unloading of these of those bulks on the truck, and also with delivering this to the end user. So they even had to build dedicated infrastructure to be able to load and unload. And they confirmed that the way of thinking, our way of thinking about changing paradigm and focusing on this market is exactly what they are practicing now. And they confirmed also that the more convenient way of transporting, of doing their business, their core business, would be very helpful. Again, this is almost last slide. You can see how the small bulks, about 100 liters, are transported, loaded on the truck. So this case more or less confirms that our vision, as we have within the liquid energy project, is not only a dream. This could be a real business case, the case that apply in the reality. Any questions? Because I'm done at this stage. So thank you very much. And yeah, if there are any questions, just simply ask.
Thank you very much. You showed, especially the last example, why you developed a new form of carrier. So why we can't use this procedure in Germany? You showed from Indonesia. Why it is worse to develop a new container for LNG carrying?
The answer is very simple, because it's much safer for the people that are not really trained in, they are not really sometimes aware of what they are doing, what they are handling, like LNG, because this could be danger for them. So it's much safer because in this case, there is no vacuum. So if the outer hull will be damaged, still nothing happens. There is no boil off for a certain time, period of time. Yesterday we saw a short film presented by Hans Peter, how LNG looks
Boils,
like or boils. Yeah. And first of all, secondly, we assume that the working pressure of this bulk will be about 1.7, 1.8 bars, which means why we have decided like this. So the installation is very important, because nobody wants to sit on the bomb. And in case of traditional bulk, well, you've got sometimes up to 20 bars. If something happens, then you've got boil off and you are sitting on the bomb. And last but not least, you saw yesterday that one person can handle it, can load and unload, because it's very easy, it's very mobile. And the Laras Energy complained to us that they are using these traditional bulks and they are heavy, really heavy, and one person is not able to handle it. Very simple.
Okay, and you mentioned that your system is very flexible in architecture. That you
Not very, but much more flexible. This could be okay. Question.
So, could there be any application in a mobile application? So, like that you can create very specific tank architecture around.
Yes and no. Yes and no. Yes, we are much more flexible because we are not stuck to the cylinder form.
Yeah,
this is the advantage.
Yeah.
So if there would be a need to make it a bit longer, a bit higher, wider, more narrow, yes, it's possible. Up to certain level, of course. Yeah. Okay. So physics stays still the same, but again, because we are not stuck to the cylinder, we can, let's say, change, adjust, adapt the form to the certain level, of course.
Okay, and also the security issues aren't any problem, because if you hurt the container, just after some time you will get some boil off, but without pressure. So there could be, that's why also a mobile application, because nobody wants to sit on a bomb. So
what is the security, let's say, system? There are two different systems. The recooling system inside the bulk. So boil-off gas is transported back to the down of the bulk and recooled. This is the first thing. So with the gas form, the methane, is again cooled down by, let's say, pushing the gas into the LNG that is in the bulk, and this is recooling system. This is one thing. Of course, not 100% of the boil-off gas can be recooled. Again, transformed into liquefied form. And of course, there are some security safety valves, as we heard yesterday, that if the pressure, let's say, increases, there's a safety valve to, let's say, reduce the pressure.
Okay, and so you mentioned that you tested it with liquid nitrogen.
Yes.
Could there any other possibility to use it for ammonia, for example, or for other gases?
We are thinking about this, but we still do not have an answer. Most probably yes, because we've got a completely different way of thinking comparing to other, let's say, producers or manufacturers of traditional bulks, because we are, let's say, experimenting with materials. The others try more or less to keep the temperature with traditional vacuum insulation, and there is not much space for, let's say, innovation and developing. In our case, we do believe yes, there is a possibility, but of course we have an idea what kind of materials could, let's say, be used for the inside of the bulk, just to be able to store and transport ammonia.
So yeah, you mentioned it. What is inside your container? Is it metal
there is no metal
layer, or just
there's absolutely no steel.
No steel.
So there are different composites, nanomaterials put together, plus some additional ingredients that are used, but I cannot talk about.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else?
If there are no more questions, I saw that Arturo is already online.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.